Well, I have just not felt well since my youngest son was born, and just been tired and figured maybe it was part of, having had a baby and I'm getting older. But it just kind of got worse and worse, and I decided finally I need to do something about it. I knew from my 20s that I've had thyroid issues, and so I figured that that would be some part of what I learned from her. But so I just did an internet search, and I knew I wanted to meet with a holistic doctor because I'd gone the route of standard physician, and they tried to put me on some medication, and it really didn't help me feel any better. And so I wanted something that was more of an approach to medicine that had more to do with health and wellness as opposed to dealing with an acute injury per se. People like Western medicine because you want a silver bullet. You want to take a pill and feel better. But when it comes to wellness, I think you're going to have to dig deep, and you're going to have to do some work and really change your lifestyle and your nutrition. And I think that's probably part of the reason why some people are scared. Plus, they don't believe that there's any science behind it. When I first came, we did a series of blood work and got some results back from that. And then Dr. Ward said, I think that to help us add another piece to the puzzle, that we should do this genetic testing, and so we did. Well, there were things that we suspected, such as vitamin deficiencies, issues with gluten, and things about how my body detoxes. And through that, we got answers to all of those. We found out that I knew that I felt better when I didn't have gluten, but I don't have the markers, I don't have the enzymes in my body to break down the gluten. So it wasn't something that I just thought. There's actually proof there that I should stay away from it. And the same thing with inflammation. We figured out that I'm not detoxing very well, and that vitamin B12 is something that I really need. And it was kind of like a light switch. I started taking vitamin B12, and the next day I felt better. I had more energy. I actually slept through the night. I hadn't had dreams in probably a year or two. So it was amazing. So the benefit of having done the genetic testing for me was that I felt better overnight. And so it was like a silver bullet in some ways. Well, in addition to just not feeling well, I definitely had some vanity symptoms where, my hair was falling out. I've been losing my eyebrows. I've had white spots on my skin that aren't vitiligo but are just from nutritional deficiencies. And so that also was something that brought me to her. And I always thought that it was just part of, I look at my aunts and my mom, and they have all of those symptoms. And so I thought it was just sort of part of aging. But now I realize it's not at all. So I have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disorder of the thyroid. Basically, the supplements and eating better, it's gotten incredibly better. I found out that all these symptoms that I'd had, which my hair falling out, being tired, not detoxing well, that there are issues with my genes, that it wasn't just me aging, but that there are issues there. So through genetic testing, I figured out that all of these vanity symptoms that I was having, like losing my hair and my eyebrows and spots on my skin from vitamin deficiencies, that it wasn't just old age, but that there were genetic issues that needed nutritional support. It is an expensive journey, and it's funny because I was just talking with a friend about that, and I personally don't run it through my insurance because I'm on a health share plan, but the expense of me having something waiting and not taking care of this through nutrition and supplements, if I waited, then it would become something way worse that would require acute care through an emergency room or urgent care. And so even though there are some expenses, it would be way more expensive and worse to my health if I just waited it out. Early on, when I first started this journey with Tanisha, we started with a bunch of different supplements, and I had a meal, and it was a meal that, looking back, I mean, I probably couldn't have added any other food that was high in histamine. It was fish, it was wine, there was tomatoes. I mean, every high histamine food that you could think of was part of this dinner, and I had a pretty bad reaction to it the next day, where my skin, I mean, it just came through my skin immediately, and I had blisters, and then I ended up having to go to the ER because it was such a bad reaction. And from that, we figured out that I have a problem with histamines, but I never before would have even guessed that was an issue. So when I eat high histamine foods, then they create more inflammation in the body. And because I don't detox very well, then it comes through my skin. Since I can't, have it doesn't go through the normal systems of detox like your kidneys and my liver very quickly. It comes out through my skin, and I'm really sensitive. I have really sensitive skin, and so it causes bumps and blisters. Well, then it was just a matter of kind of waiting it out until my body caught up with getting those things out of my system, and that was before the genetic testing. But that was one of the things that led to doing the genetic testing, and that's how we figured out that I don't detox things very well out of my system. Well, I know that vitamin D is supposed to be good for your gut, so it helps with the leaky gut. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to tolerate it well, so we've tried 2 or 3 different types of vitamin D, but going back to the whole detoxing issue, usually when you take it, it's emulsified in an oil, and so since I'm not able to process fats very well, then I've had issues with taking any vitamin D. So that's kind of been a problem. I don't produce enough GABA, which is a neurotransmitter. And so GABA is part of, and of course there are lots of neurotransmitters that are within your gut as well, but it's one of those feel-good sorts of things. And so we've supplemented with that. And as far as mood, I mean, the supplements that I've been taking for that, it really has increased my mood considerably. So anytime I start having skin issues, I have to back off the supplements, and then I start adding them back on. But the GABA tone that I add in is one of the ones I add first because I can feel the difference as far as my mood. I've not felt well for about 5 years since my son was born, and probably hadn't slept well for 5 years. And then I decided last year that I was kind of done, like enough. And so I went on this great trip, and once I got back from that trip, I said, it's time to figure out what's going on. But I've been enduring it for quite a while. Every change that she's recommended, we've implemented for the whole family. So my husband has been doing it, and my kids have been doing it. And so it's been good for our whole family. And so we're all eating better because of it, which is nice. I don't feel deprived at all. I think it's probably because I'm eating more healthy fats, and I actually crave certain vegetables and fruits, and it's because my body is wanting the nutrition that comes from those foods as opposed to just craving sugar all the time. I think there's a path to wellness, and that everyone should take that journey, and it's not easy, but it's really for our own good. And the easy way out, which is to eat pizza and have your fast food, it's really not going to contribute to a good, healthy lifestyle. But it's not easy. It's not easy to start with. But then once you start, it's so much easier, and you feel so much better. It's worth it. This is a great environment. I love Dr. Ward's. She's fantastic. She has led this journey and has been so caring. And anytime I have an issue or a question, I'll email, and she emails back immediately. She's been fantastic. And I love this place. You come in, and it's just this feeling of just relaxation, and everyone that works here has just been so pleasant to work with. I would encourage anyone who is concerned about their health or who hasn't been feeling well to start the journey.